Now, the Americans, as they take this forward, have got a number of options in the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz. The first option that everyone talks about is taking Karg Island. Karg Island is where 90% of Iran's oil flows out into the Red Sea to get into tankers to then flow, those tankers to go out through the Strait of Hormuz and take it to the rest of the world. If you control Karg Island, you control effectively Iran's economic output. And therefore that could be used as a lever by the Americans to force the Iranians to come to the peace table and to accept some of America's negotiating points. However, there's no point in controlling Karg Island if you don't control the Strait of Hormuz. And as we're seeing with what Iran is doing at the moment in closing the Strait of Hormuz for most shipping, it's the Strait of Hormuz that's got that strategic presence for Iran. That's giving them that strategic lever. And within the Strait of Hormuz, there are a number of islands that Iran has militarized with their Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, and they've got anti-ship missiles, they've got autonomous surface vessels, they've got fast attack craft, they've got subsea attack autonomous vehicles, and they use fast attack craft to drop mines to try and close the straits. They dominate the control of those straits, and one or all of those islands are something that the Americans, if they take Karg, will have to consider taking as part of a sequenced operation. From my perspective, I would suggest that because of the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz, America would want to try and take control of that first and foremost, but potentially using a threat on Karg Island as a deception operation. What America would need to do, either of them, is ideally a Marine Expeditionary Unit. We've got two of them steaming into the area, one from Japan. It has just left Diego Garcia. It is a couple of days out. And the other one is coming across the Atlantic and moving its way in. However, for a Marine Expeditionary Unit to get into the Red Sea, to be able to take Karg Island, it has to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and that would have to be secured. Therefore, what America seems to be doing now is moving large elements of the 82nd Airborne Division and other assets related to it, so the A-10 Warthog ground attack aircraft and Apache AH-64 attack helicopters into areas where the islands in the Strait of Hormuz are well within range. You capture those islands, you hold them securely with your airborne and air mobile forces. You can then use that to help secure it and provide a more secure way of getting your Marine Expeditionary Units into the Red Sea to reinforce, to sustain your operations in there and sequence what it is that you're doing. So decisions, I think, will be Friday or Saturday this week. I think the Americans will potentially do a feint on Karg Island to start with, but actually send troops into some of the islands that we see in the Strait of Hormuz to get control over them, and then use that to try and force Iran further to the negotiating table. Iraq is at the top of the tip on the bend inside the Strait of Hormuz. It is one that it's quite mountainous in the centre. It's got one road around the outside, one harbour in it, and is significant from an IRGC defensive perspective. You control that, and effectively you are in a position to dominate across the straits and to stop the Iranians from being able to carry out their attacks against international shipping and other shipping, military shipping going through the region. The one thing that you need before you get any of the islands is air superiority. Well, the Americans have got total air superiority over the whole place, so they can easily move troops in by helicopter. They can drop them by parachute, and once they've done that, they can then consider moving troops in by sea, but they would have to then clear the sea lanes as well. On the other island, Abu Musa is interesting because it's effectively a big runway in the middle of the run up to the Strait of Hormuz from the Red Sea. To be able to air-land troops on that, you need that air domination. The Americans have got it. They've got total air superiority, and they could use that to air-land elements of 82nd Airborne and potentially take troops off the Marine Expeditionary Unit ships and air-land them onto there and use that as a stepping stone. Whatever we're going to see in the Red Sea, if ground troops are used, will be something where there are a number of sequenced operations and steps going into 2 or 3 areas so that the Americans can secure the whole of the strait. Are they going to suffer the Iranians coming in and pushing them off? Well, the Iranians don't have the ability to do it. These are islands off the Iranian coast. The Iranians may try and hit them with indirect fire from artillery. Some of them are not in range with rockets and everything else, but the Americans are dealing with that particular threat, and they can't send columns of armoured vehicles because they can't get them across to it. So it is a sensible, and I would say the most logical next step from a military perspective for Donald Trump to dominate what's going on around Iran, and to give that confidence to the international community. If he can secure the Strait of Hormuz and secure shipping going through there, then he can lessen the economic impact that we're all feeling across the globe.
They are begging to work out a deal. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. I don't know if we're willing to do that. They should have done that 4 weeks ago. They should have done it 2 years ago. Or they should have done it when we first came into office. We're their worst nightmare. In the meantime, we'll just keep blowing them away.
Well, the signs that we see: 1, the build-up of troops. We're already seeing that. 2, the build-up of aircraft that are needed to support it. The A-10 Warthog ground attack aircraft, phenomenal aircraft. And the Apache AH-64 attack helicopters are moving into within easy flying range. We're already seeing that. So tick. We'll then see the rhetoric coming out of Donald Trump. He started that from very early this morning. So he hasn't slept well last night. So that's coming in. The next thing we'll start to see before troops go in will be air operations, destroying the defensive positions and dislocating the troops that are defending the islands. That, I suspect, we'll start to see either Friday night or through Saturday, with troops then going in later on Saturday or early Sunday to try and secure the islands. We might see beforehand a feint on Carg Island, or the Americans might decide that they want to take Carg Island first of all, use that and secure that as a stepping stone to then move up in the Strait of Hormuz. It's all sequenced. There's pluses or minuses for each option from a military planning perspective, and I'm a military planner by background. It is a fascinating set of plans, well within America's remit to do it. They've got the wherewithal there, but the potential for casualties is very high indeed.